So welcome, and let's begin today's board meeting. We're going to start with public comment on non-agenda items. And I will read your names, and you can come down in any order, and just please state your name or citizen or whatever. So we have Tanika Tyler, Wade Ashburner, Alex Zuka, Lorna Zukas, Ron Anderson, Brent Williams, Tom Ford, citizen, Sandra Foster King. That's what it says.
So I want to start with the school board interference, which is the subject of the most recent grand jury report. The People's Jury has investigated San Diego Unified School District for the past 6 years. Facts support those reports. Trustees have been overstepping their authority, and it's a serious problem in this school district. We had a trustee removing principals that were not going along with her desires. We had another one allowing presentations that were never placed on the agenda. This board has started closed session meetings 2.5 hours late to inconvenience the public who wants to make statements. The trustees exploited students, taking them on a field trip to a convicted criminal's home for political favor. The superintendent has protested that the school board is not interfering. But the failure to adhere to policies and no accountability is allowing corruption to grow in this school district. There's too much time spent on misconduct, on personal desires and political desires, and not enough time protecting our children's safety. There's continuing to have lunch detention, they're continuing to have Saturday school, you're continuing to step on citizens' rights, the very people that are funding the things that you want with all these bond propositions, and you take no account into what the public feels or desires or how your conduct is affecting what we need, what our children need, and what our community need for our public schools. So it behooves this school district to stop this behavior and this misconduct and start cleaning up its act.
So we're going to have the next speaker, but I think you could benefit from knowing that you'll have 2 minutes each, and please state your name. And then also for the public record, we're not responsible for any comments made at public comments. Folks can say whatever they want, regardless if it's fictional or not. And then Superintendent Martin, we do follow up on some comments that are made to at least when we're able to kind of provide some facts. So with that said, 2 minutes, and state your name first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Wade Ashbrenner, and President Foster, trustees, Superintendent Martin. I'm the school site coordinator at Laurel Preparatory Academy. It's a member of the Altus network of charter schools, and I'm here today to celebrate the graduating class of 2015 with the Altus schools. Altus graduation ceremonies are particularly special because so many of our students and their families thought the day might never come. Upon enrollment, students who enroll in the Charter School of San Diego, Adeo Charter School, and Laurel Preparatory Academy are on average 2 to 4 years behind in basic reading and math skills. About 75% of our student population is at least 6 months behind in academic credits, but most are more than a year behind. The vast majority of our students are at risk of dropping out of high school and are facing a 5th year in order to fulfill their graduation requirements. Altus schools offer a distraction-free learning environment where students can focus solely on their coursework so they can get back on track to graduate. Our specially trained and dedicated faculty and staff work tirelessly to re-engage students and their families in their educations. Students have the opportunity to work towards a successful future. The future looks different for each student. Nearly 80% of Altus graduates continue on with post-secondary education that specializes in their chosen field of study. The remaining 20% of our students serve their community through military service or entering the workforce. Over the past 20 years of proven success, the educational option provided by Altus schools has transformed the lives of approximately 40,000 students, their families, and the communities in which they live. It has helped San Diego Unified's effort to decrease dropout rates and increase the district's overall graduation rate. Some of our class of 2015 have been accepted to UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC San Diego, numerous Cal State universities, and private universities such as Westmont College and the University of San Francisco. We are thrilled to celebrate each and every one of our students' victories. The future social and economic success of the city of San Diego depends on educational collaborations that ensure parent choice and a variety of educational options for every student. Thank you for your continued support of charter schools.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi, my name is Tanika Tyler, and I'm here as a parent of Daquan Tyler. We attend a Darnell Charter in the District E down on Hugh Street. I'm here today because I wanted to, I guess, officially ask for minutes within the board to be able to speak with you guys about a situation that has become very severe. I have accused the school of several things such as retaliation, discrimination, bullying, harassment, and other such serious accusations. And when trying to deal within the board, as I'm supposed to with a charter school, I've gotten nowhere but a runaround. And I'm not getting any, I feel like, any support or any direction from anybody that should be giving me any direction. It's hard to find what to do when dealing with a charter school and when you feel like your child is being unlawfully treated. And he was recently unlawfully expelled. We were not due our due process, nor were we allowed our rights to see any documentation or anything like that. They expelled my child on a hearsay. It was just, it was a complete circus. I don't know how else to professionally say this to you, but it is imperative that I speak with the board to be able to present to you what evidence that I have that's their evidence of them created by themselves. You know, they're not any, I don't need to create anything. They're all their own documentations or lack thereof. You know, and I would like to be able to present this to you and get you guys on an understanding of what's going on, because I will be doing my best to take as much legal action as possible, because I feel like that's where I've been pushed to at this point. I do appreciate your time. Like I said, I'm here to request some official board meetings with you guys as soon as possible.
Thank you. And we'll refer what you've shared with us to the superintendent for follow-up.
Real quick, am I allowed to send to you via email any?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ready? Hi, my name is Tom Ford. I'm a Claremont resident. I live right next to the Claremont High School stadium, and the use of the stadium has been way beyond what the MND, the Mitigated Negative Declaration, will allow, and it has devastated our neighborhood. We have families there, we have elderly that don't get around to, we have young couples with children. We have a 3-month-old in the community now. So far, the lights and the PA, which are used, a PA during the day and night, and lights, of course, at night, but it's forced people to leave their homes. They've sold, they moved, they couldn't raise their children. It has devastated us. I live right underneath many of our homes are below the land elevation of the stadium field, so the lights pointing down come right into our homes with greater intensity. We can't open our windows at night when the PA system comes on because it is devastatingly loud. We've had to leave our homes, get in our cars, and leave. What I'd like to do is to have Claremont High School adhere to the MND. They so far have not, and this has been since 2011. And we have no other way to control or help our neighborhood find some kind of peace again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alex Zukas, and I'm a resident of El Cerrito and a member of the El Cerrito Coalition for Livable Neighborhoods and Quality Schools. Having just gone through a successful field use policy, I was here last week, that was praised at the last board meeting, I want to address the board this week to speak about a concern I have regarding the process or lack of process being followed with regard to the Claremont High School field use policy and the problems for district community relations it poses. I would like to quote some of the board members who spoke last week. Around 2 hours and 34 minutes into the meeting, Kevin Beiser said, quote, I want to say thank you to everybody that was involved in developing this field use policy for Crawford. This particular field use policy, I think, shows a lot more collaboration with the neighborhood. This is the kind of field use policy that I think we ought to look at for other schools and maybe to revise and improve some field use policies around the district. Limiting the number of events each school year to a reasonable number, I think, is not unreasonable. I mean, the school district looked at what was happening at Claremont High School, and we canceled that contract because we're not building these facilities for adult soccer leagues. We're building these facilities for our children and our students, unquote. This does not seem to be the position of Ms. Roberson, the principal of Claremont High School. She seems to think that it is fine to rent out high school athletic facilities to adult sports leagues like VAVI. Her husband belongs to a VAVI team, and that a VAVI representative attended the field use meeting this week. I think the board should consider whether this represents a personal conflict of interest on her part. I think it does compromise her judgment. I suspect the Claremont community does as well. VAVI is not part of the community. It is a multi-million-dollar corporation that runs adult soccer leagues for a hefty profit. Prop S and Prop Z monies were not approved by taxpayers to subsidize adult sports leagues that disrupt neighborhood life. Around 2 hours and 40 minutes into the meeting, Mike McQuarrie said, quote, it's a real thrill to me to see the amount of collaboration to reach this agreement. I didn't see it coming, and I was hopeful it would happen. We hope that the field use agreement becomes the model from Crawford, that the community is working together with our schools to make the best possible arrangement for everyone concerned, like it happened here today. I suggest the board make sure that Claremont Field Use Group gets a copy of the Crawford Field Use Policy, because what I understand is they have not, and that would make a long way to gaining goodwill of the community. You won a lot of goodwill last week by your actions. Please don't squander it.
Yeah, if it would, Madam President, because I am named in person, I'd like to just make a brief comment. I have double-checked and confirmed with the legal department that that contract has been canceled at Claremont High School.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you. It's good to see you this week. As you may remember from last week, I'm Lorna Luker. I'm a member of the El Cerrito community. Last week, this board passed an EIR for the Crawford Mann project, despite the fact that the EIR contained erroneous statements about the placement of tennis courts on the Mann campus and the number of light poles that would be placed in the newly constructed athletic stadium on the Crawford campus. It was also pointed out that the EIR failed to include all submitted comments to the EIR and therefore fully address the community's concerns about the project as required by law. Finally, the board was informed that according to the EIR, the impact of the stadium on the local habitat and the community was calculated on 19 lighted events, not 7 days a week until 11 p.m., as is stated in the allowed usage in the final EIR. The problems were pointed out to this board and to San Diego Unified School District staff before a vote was taken. I'm here tonight to register a strong objection to the vote to passing a faulty EIR and to funding the Crawford Mann project. Laws designed to protect the taxpayer and to ensure transparency in the EIR process were ignored. It was stated by the board members and by Crawford High School staff, faculty, and foundation members that the EIR had to be passed because the school had long been neglected by previous school boards and that because the school was located in a poor neighborhood. It deserved its fair share, they said. What the school deserves, and what all San Diegans deserve, is a school board that abides by the rules, does not manipulate them to create the conditions desired. This stadium is not a panacea for poverty. It's not going to help. the board's failure to have the EIR corrected and to remove the stated use of the EIR from 7 days a week until 11 p.m., or simply as requested by community members, include the agreed-upon field use policy in the statement of overriding concerns, leaves the neighborhood vulnerable to the changing whims of a school principal or a changing board. You're not going to be in these seats forever. You've done the neighborhood of El Cerrito and the taxpayers of San Diego a huge disservice.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ron Anderson. I'm president of Taxpayers for Accountable School Bond Spending. On page 3 of the Mitigated Negative Declaration for the Claremont High School Athletic Facilities Upgrade Project, under the heading Athletic Events Schedule, the following is written. Events conducted on the existing athletic facility were possible only during daylight hours or in the evening with the use of temporary lights. These events, which have included football, field hockey, boys and girls soccer, and track and field, could now occur in the evening. The district anticipates that approximately 15 evening events would occur with the implementation of the proposed project. The district notes that due to routine practices and potential for unforeseen events such as playoff games, a few more events may occur. No lights are proposed on a baseball or softball fields. This is the exact same language that was used in the M&D for Hoover High School Athletic Facility Upgrade Project. Taxpayers filed suit against the district for various causes, one of which was conducting insufficient CEQA studies and performing an M&D instead of an EIR. This case ended up being settled in the Court of Appeal of California, 4th Appellate District, Division 1, where taxpayers prevailed. On pages 15 and 16 of the published opinion, where the language of approximate 15 evening events is discussed, the opinion stated that it is a reasonable interpretation of that language is that approximately 15 evening events would be held each year, but a few more events could be held. The opinion further stated that it is common knowledge that a few consists of a small number, i.e. more than one, but typically 3 or 4. Therefore, the initial CEQA study in effect and approved by this board is that the district expected between 15 and 18 or 19 evening events per year. Even though the appellate case was about Hoover High School, the interpretation and action should be the same at Claremont High School, about 15 to 19 evening events, which include practices and unforeseen events such as playoff games. The district would have to perform additional CEQA studies if they want to increase the number of lighted events at Claremont High School above 19 per year. Thank you.
State your name.
Good evening, Superintendent, School Board. My name is Brent Williams. I'm a resident in the immediate neighborhood. Actually, my property is right on the border with Claremont High School. I actually grew up right there in the immediate neighborhood. My parents were high school sweethearts there and are alumni of there. My siblings went there. I went there. My father, my brother, and myself all played football on that very field. I wrestled for Claremont High School. So I come up from a position of being sensitive to the students and the desire to play sports, and I don't have an issue with that. However, during these last couple of years, in all honesty, I believe that we've been treated with blatant, arrogant disrespect and disregard by the administrators of Claremont High School and by the activities that have been allowed to happen despite our trying to communicate just how completely unreasonable and intolerable it's been for us. I have a 21-month-old son at home, and my wife and I are expecting another child, God willing, in the year to come. And with my son, he was routinely woken up. It's not just the bright lights shining through your windows, even if you close the drapes. It's not just that loud PA when it's on, but when you have competitive adult sports going on, you have people yelling, screaming, whistles going on, and when they're literally, our neighbors, literally, our backyard meets right up with the facility. So you can hear everything, all the windows closed, you can hear literally what people are saying. You can hear profanity. So when all this is going on late in the evening, it's a tremendous strain on families. You know, you come home at the end of the day expecting to be able to relax, to have peace, to have tranquility, to enjoy a meal together, and it's unavoidable. I mean, you know, one of the reasons people move to this neighborhood is because it's a quiet, calm neighborhood. You enjoy the breeze that comes in, and you know, you can't open your windows at night and you can't enjoy peace and quiet because of all the noise going on. during the field use policy for Claremont High School last Thursday,
That indicates that your time is up, but just to be consistent, I'm going to give you just a little bit more time to...
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. So the Claremont High School coaches stated that their practices are concluded at the latest by 5:30. So I just want to put forth to the board that, anything beyond these typical practices should be kept within the confines that's described within the MDN document of 18 to 19 events. After speaking with the principal and other people, it was very clear that they have no intention of doing that, and that their intention is to continue to rent out this facility. And honestly, it's destroying our neighborhood. Thank you for giving me the additional time. I appreciate it, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. There's Sandra Foster King. You got me.
Hello, my name is Sandra Foster King, and I'm a retired teacher of the San Diego School system, and I'm a retired teacher of the San Diego School of Creative and Performing Arts after 30 years. And my grandson.
I'm Malachi Foster, and I'm a graduate of SCPA, and I'm currently going to Pace University studying BFA acting, and I'm here on account of my mother's birthday.
So we would like to present her with flowers and a little candle that you can blow out immediately, of course, and sing happy birthday to you, if you don't mind. I just thought this was important business, so I thank you very much for giving me this time. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marnie. Happy birthday to you.
That was good.
Look at your mom.
So you got my mom all involved in my...
Doesn't hide your face. And then go ahead and hide it. She can go.
Did you clear this with fire code? Okay, dream big, no excuses? Okay. Wow, thank you very, very much, Mom, me, and Malachi. Has something like this ever happened before? I don't know that you can comment on that. Oh, I can't comment on that. Okay. Oh, she named me personally so I can respond. Well, it really was just a question like, wow, and has this ever happened before? But I don't know. Yeah, no, I won't eat this right now. Okay, so moving right along. So let me just say this to wrap up public comments. We've heard a lot of significant comments today, and just want to let the public know that we appreciate your comments, that your comments inform us and help us to better serve students and communities. So thank you for your comments, and we are going to have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then continue. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. So thank you, and I'd like to welcome everyone to the 2015 June 2nd board meeting with all board members present. And if you would wish to address the board today, I'd like to remind you that the public testimony request forms are at both exits, and you can present that to our board officer, Cheryl Ward. Once an agenda item has started, we will not take any more speaker items. And then I'll just cite that per bylaw 1025, public testimony on agenda items is limited to a maximum of 20 minutes per consent item, 10 minutes per opposing viewpoint. A non-agenda testimony was heard today at 5:15, and we'll also have an opportunity at the end of today's board meeting. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda? So moved. You have a second? Okay. Please vote. Perfect.
I will move item E1. Second.
Perfect. Okay. So continuing with E1, Ingenuity Charter School, Superintendent Martin.
Thank you. I'll invite up Susan Parks to address this very minor change, but still so you understand what you're voting on tonight.
Good evening. Thank you. Ingenuity is a new charter school that was approved a few months ago. It has the site scheduled to open at 6130 Skyline Drive, co-located with O'Farrell. They have the same governing board. This agenda item is an action item to add a second site at 342 Euclid Avenue, San Diego. It is projected to serve approximately 20 students. There's a table in the agenda item that details the overall enrollment maximum for the years of operation. So this would be a 2-site operation for the Ingenuity Charter School, which is scheduled to open this July 1st. There are school representatives here if you have questions, along with staff.
Thank you. If there are no board comments, then let's please vote. That passes unanimously. Thank you. E2. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll move approval. Second.
Okay. So E2, propositions S and Z, board update, Superintendent Martin.
Mr. Delgaroff will come and join us up here on the dais.
And we do have speakers on this item, just to...
Tonight we're looking at the revised construction bond project plan under Prop S and Prop Z, and we will have our presentation on that.
Okay. Good afternoon, good evening, President Foster, happy birthday. Members of the Board of Education, Superintendent Martin. I'm here to talk to you about, give you an update on the status of the bond program. Renovation and construction of school facilities for students is underway throughout San Diego Unified. And this report will update you on the financial status of our work. And I've also included some photos of several projects to help illustrate the progress. This first slide gives you an aerial photo of where I plan to be on the first day of school. Jonas Salk Elementary School opened September 8th. We're currently putting the finishing touches on the construction and procuring all the furniture and equipment for the school. Principal Deirdre Hardson and some of our operations staff and custodial staff are already on site working. So we have over $155 million worth of construction in progress at 13 schools today. 97 projects complete, including college career technical education facilities, athletic fields, and new classroom buildings. Like this new energy efficient 16 classroom 3-story building at Millennial Tech Middle School with 4 science classrooms and a broadcast technology classroom. This project, along with the project at Knox, the whole site modernization at Knox Middle School that we recently completed, will support the Lincoln Cluster feeder plan. And we've also got a lot of more projects underway. 41 projects are in design and bid stages, totaling $358 million. So this big pipeline of facilities improvements coming. It's important for all the stakeholders to understand that this is a long capital program, and in fact our last issuance is scheduled for about 2032. So the class of 2020 will be sending their kids to school by the time we issue our last bonds. In fact, to use the analogy of the sort of the rock and roll marathon that occurred over the weekend, If this is a 26-mile program, we're just completing the 5th mile of the program, about 20%. And this little pie chart gives you a breakdown of the $923 million in total expenditures to date. And you can see that most of the work that's completed to date at this 20% marker is in the categories of modernization, classroom technology, wired and wireless infrastructure. This sort of gives you an idea of some of the site modernization work that includes major repair and replacement, ADA accessibility, health, safety, and security, new buildings to replace aging portables. Overall athletic facilities, including grass fields, turf fields, and stadium upgrades, comprise only about 11.6% of the total expenditures today. In terms of classroom technology, our 5-year I-21 plan that started in 2009 is fully complete now. We've completed the we've upgraded 5,462 classrooms with classroom technology, wired and wireless infrastructure. All the K-12 students now have access to student devices in 21st century classrooms with Wi-Fi and Promethean boards. And our ITSS team has trained the teachers to use the equipment, and together between ITSS and facilities, we've really advanced teaching and learning through the use of technology. Dan Stoneman and his team deserve a lot of credit on this as well. The first year of student device refresh is also complete now, and we're working on, the only thing that remains is replacing some of our year 1 Promethean projectors, which sort of had lower lumens, so we're going to replace those. We've also been really successful at maximizing federal E-rate grants. These are matching federal funds that provide a significant discount for wired and wireless infrastructure. Wireless access points, fiber optic backbones at schools, switches and routers. We've received $47.7 million in infrastructure projects completed. 43.5 has been awarded, and it's either being designed or constructed, and we have an $11.8 million in grant applications that are pending approval. So we're really being aggressive in trying to get our fair share of the federal money there. And we've also been engaging our educators to look at learning space design and to support the Common Core pedagogy and the use of technology to support teaching and learning. And we're currently updating our district design guide and specifications to support the changes to support the 21st century classroom. This slide covers our air conditioning program. This was a really ambitious program. 2 years, 2,000 classrooms, 2 million square feet of air conditioning. And this is all nearing completion. In fact, this summer they're working really hard. We utilized 5 construction contracts, 5 architects simultaneously. Construction is either complete or underway on 1,921 classrooms in 65 schools as of late March. Is construction scheduled to complete on 67 traditional schools before school starts, and then we also have some charter schools that are underway as well, but because they were authorized a little bit later, they'll finish a little bit later, but we're making progress on those as well. Looking at sustainability. As you may recall that going solar was one of our big dream solutions. Oh, did I? I'm sorry. Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Skipped. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Okay. Oh, the TV got it. Okay. Okay, sustainability. So this was one of our dream big solutions that I presented to the board back on January 20th. And we have an initial phase that we're planning to install photovoltaic panels at 8 high energy use schools that also have the site conditions, the area, the space that's well suited for PV installation. And we're primarily going to use carports and ground-mounted installation as opposed to the roof-mounted that we had in the past. This picture here illustrates the PV carports that are at Jonas Salk Elementary, for example. We're planning to use an RFQP that'll be advertised this summer to select a pool of qualified contractors. And this will be a best value selection that's where we compete the contractors for price from amongst the pool in accordance with Government Code Section 4217. And since we're going to own our own panels, the energy produced, we're looking for, and the energy produced, we want high quality panels. We want systems that are easy to maintain and sustain over time, because they're really ours to operate, but we also get the benefit of owning the electricity. So we think, roughly speaking, these first sites will produce about 3.24 megawatts of solar, or 5.4 million kilowatt hours of electricity, which could save us around just a little over $1 million a year at current rates.
So you could save $1 million a year?
That's correct. 1.1 approximately. Still, we have to build it first, but they will save. And and we're looking at about a 17-year return on investment, simple ROI. So the cost is about $18.6 million altogether for that.
Quick question: was this an additional $1 million, or is that does that include the $1 million that we used a year ago, I think, to hire back librarians?
Well, this is a savings off our current electric bill. Okay. That would be what we would do.
It's a total. It's a cumulative.
So what we would do, it was reduce the cost of electricity off our electric bill. There are some issues, though. I mean, we're living in a dynamic world, so there's a rate structure that's changing right now. We're also in some, the peak is changing, as well as we're also implementing some things that will help us in addition to this. Really, the best way to lower your energy bill is to reduce your consumption. So we're looking at some energy saving measures. We're utilizing Prop 39 funds right now to put in LED lighting and change out older mechanical systems. So, and we're also upgrading all of our buildings with better windows, better insulation. So the thought is, it's really a multi-dynamic situation. We generate some electricity, save some money, but we also try to reduce our electricity bill in a lot of other ways at the same time.
Now, just a second. I want to back up on your comments. You said that it's a 17-year ROI. At current conditions, it's about $1 million a year. And you said the cost of building it all is about $18.6 million.
Something like that.
So it pretty much pays for itself then.
That's correct. Yeah.
So then, to that extent, it would behoove us to explore expanding it even more, since it would pay for itself over the 17-year ROI time, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to turf fields. So as you're aware, we've been partnering with the city for some time to develop joint use grass and turf fields. We have 79 joint use agreements across the city, including Jefferson, Language Academy, Roosevelt, and there are currently several more joint use fields in the planning and development. You can see the list on the slide here. And over the last decade, all new schools like Jonas Salk have had a joint use field. Unfortunately, we're still catching up, because for many years it was a district policy to operate fields with decomposed granite fields. And so last year, I think last June, in fact, we established a 5-year plan to install new turf fields at elementary and middle schools, and so we've made a lot of progress. We opened fields at Fulton, Dana, Knox, Emerson, Loma Portal. This is an aerial field of the Whittier Field of Dreams for special needs students that we just opened. In fact, there's a really great clip of the Channel 8 did a story on it on our website. So of the dedication ceremony that occurred last week. It's a great story. I encourage you to check it out. But there's an awful lot more of this type of work in the pipeline. And if you look at attachment 2 of the packet, you'll see the 5-year plan on how we're going to approach the remaining schools. The one thing I can tell you that's sort of a little bit of an update to this, unfortunately, because of the ongoing drought and water conservation goals and the cost of water, this may have some impact on the plan forward. And so we're trying to figure out how they'll approach all of this in light of the current drought. We have successfully installed some drought-tolerant landscaping on a number of projects for landscaping around our new buildings, and we're going to be adjusting our landscaping and irrigation plans in response to water restrictions and changes in the building code, which has just been recently released.
Just ask you on that, and I know it's not all completely related to Prop S&Z, but are we monitoring our annual reduction in water consumption, sort of consistent with the governor's mandate?
We're monitoring them on almost a weekly, monthly basis. Yeah, we're really looking at it carefully. In fact, I think right now operations is not. We're planning not to water any of what we call ornamental lawns. So we're going to be cutting almost all water off to ornamental lawns. We're
grass right around the center.
Right. This kind of grass. Yeah. So the play fields we're going to continue to water the play fields, and we're going to continue to water the shrubs and trees to keep them alive. But we're really trying to achieve the mayor's goals in terms of water use reductions.
Yeah, I wonder if we could get maybe quarterly kind of year-over-year updates on where we are.
And Drew was also coming up to make comment, and there was a board memo that tells where we are in response. And
the governor's executive order talks about comparing to the 2013 baseline. So we will, June 1st is when the conservation measures started, so we expect that we'll be receiving our comparison from the city. We still have to have that aggregated from the city, hopefully mid-July, to look at how we did in our first month, and we'll adjust or do what we need to do based on that information. And if you remember, it runs from June through the end of February 16. So, sure.
when Richard just asked for monthly updates, Drew, sorry. What is it? Is it quarterly that we would be giving more accurate data? What's the?
The intent by the governor was there's a month-to-month comparison. Okay. June 2015 is compared to June 2013, et cetera, et cetera. The city is still wrestling with, the city as our water provider is still wrestling with the mechanics of all that accounting and reporting. But certainly as soon as we gather it, we will share it with the board.
Because typically doesn't the city meter the water every other month?
Yes, yeah. Yes.
Okay, so moving on to charter schools. Charter schools projects, capital projects, are funded by the $350 million Prop Z pro rata share of the bond program. And right now we have 18 charter school projects that are underway, totaling $55.6 million. That improve our facilities for our public charter schools. And this is, you can see this photo of the groundbreaking, too bad Jonathan's not here, but the groundbreaking in O'Farrell Community School. O'Farrell's adding new facilities to support their high school program, 17 classrooms, 4 labs, a gymnasium, and parking and administrative spaces. And we're scheduled to complete that work in spring of 2016. Now, we recently received 11 new, applications for new projects, and the Charter School Facilities Committee has vetted these projects, and staff is currently, the projects total about $211 million, and staff's looking through and analyzing those projects in accordance with the board policy and developing recommendations for action at a future board meeting. I think the big challenge is going to be how we schedule all those projects and prioritize them, since the bond proceeds and cash flow schedule are not going to be able to accommodate all of them simultaneously. So anyway, staff is going to develop some type of objective criteria to look at those projects. I've got a meeting with Cindy to talk about that as well, in terms of objective criteria along the lines of the board guidance that we received back on February 4th, 2014. There was the board gave staff some direction, but I'm certainly open to any guidance, any additional guidance you have in terms of prioritization of the type of work as we move forward. And safety and security, this is a sort of a brief update. You received an update on January 20th, but obviously, this is our primary concern. And we've conducted the security assessment, and that looked at operational procedures and practices, as well as the infrastructure needs like fences and locks. And physical plant operations staff and facility staff have identified 260 projects, infrastructure projects at 70 sites, and we're working through those projects. You probably noticed on the consent agenda a large number of PA systems and fencing and communications and other types of projects. Those are all security related and tied to this initiative. This is a picture of Madison High School parking lot where we installed some security lighting. We're very mindful that the security improvements belong within the greater context and framework of school climate and restorative justice. So we understand that the board is looking for us to create the right balance to create a secure environment that's also warm and inviting and student supportive. So. Communications, this is a continuous endeavor. The participation of parents and students and teachers, community members in the design development process really does improve the quality of our projects. To date, we've had conducted 240 site master planning and design task force community meetings. In fact, we had, we heard from some of the Crawford stakeholders at our last main board meeting, and we are starting the process of engagement on Claremont right now about trying to bring all the stakeholders together to develop a field use policy there. This is a nice picture of Board President Foster and Superintendent Martin cutting the ribbon at the Fulton K-8 with Principal Dr. Stanley Monroe dedicating their turf field. Oops, let me go back here. Emerging business outreach. We've had great success with emerging business outreach. Our EB participation from January through April is 45.96%. And you can see that what our goals are, and we're right on top of the goals, and we're exceeding market capacity in the local market thanks to some great programs that we have. One of the ways that we do it is with our micro projects program. So this is how we start to get sort of incubator for real small businesses that are not used to doing business with public agencies. These are projects that are $15,000 or less. They're awarded to only certified small businesses. And these projects help new small businesses get started. They're awarded under a direct pay agreement or purchase order, so they're easier for small business to administer and have a higher success rate. And you can see the ceiling fan over at Sessions Elementary School. So in FY 14-15, we awarded 41 micro projects totaling $393,000 to certified small businesses. This next slide summarizes our project stabilization agreement. This is a 5-year partnership with the building trades and carpenters unions. It's been a great success. Under the agreement, we've employed almost 5,300 workers on 67 projects since October 2009. And 28% of these workers live within the targeted zip codes. And I can say union referrals from targeted zip codes are the key to achieving the goals. 80% or 4 out of 5 workers from targeted zip codes are the results of the union hall referrals. And you can see that this is a picture of the map of the targeted zip codes, and all this information is dynamically accessible on our website. Richard, I apologize that last time you asked me to sort of give you a histogram of where we were last time and where we are today, and so I'm just going to kind of give you the numbers next time I'll add another column. But a year ago, last June, if we had this chart up there, we would be, the results from the targeted zip codes were 29%. So we've gone down 1% since last year for residents of targeted zip codes. And the same goes for workers that live in San Diego Unified. We were at 39 and now we're at 38. And then San Diego County has dropped from 98 to 96%.
And Lee, do you, off the top of your head, have a sense of the union, the referrals coming from the union halls versus the referrals coming from contractors, what those percentages are of residents in our targeted zip codes?
Well, okay, so in contrast, cumulative union referrals from targeted zip codes are 33.5%, whereas non-union workers are only 16.4%.
Yeah, so I think, and I appreciate the, keeping track of how we're coming along with this. My guess is that the meeting our targets actually starts to get even more difficult as work picks up in the construction industry, so there's just more work to be done, more people are employed, and I think it's at that moment that our emphasis in working with both the unions and our contractors, we want to really push the point, that we want to meet those, those goals, our community hiring goals. And I know that the unions are working hard. Marty and I both were at the apprenticeship fair at Jacobs Center this Saturday that had great participation, and hundreds of people came through. But it sounds like we need to push the contractors a little bit more. It sounds like the unions are working hard to meet their community hiring goals, but the numbers from the contractors are a little bit lower than what we would want. So I would hope maybe we could kind of re-engage that conversation.
Yeah, I actually have one of the coming up. I have a sort of a plan for that, an approach to that, because we can contractually drive that activity using a different form of procurement that other districts use, as LA Unified in particular. But a lot of other districts around our county, and when I'll kind of explain that when I get there. But yeah, I have some ideas around that as well. This next slide is our financial status slide. It talks about the overall program budget, about $5 billion if you include state matching funds. We've received $1.16 billion in revenue with $923 million in expenditures. We had this in FY 13-14. We expended $195.8 million. And we had our FY 14-15 financial and performance audits were positive. This is a rendering of the Mann-Crawford project, which is the second largest project in our program. This rendering depicts the first phase of the Mann Middle School whole site modernization, which the scope of work includes demolishing building 500, 100, which is the admin building, and 600, and constructing a new 3-story admin 16 classroom building in the lower campus, roughly around the same location as the existing building 500, and the new building is approximately 32,000 square feet. And the project, this first phase of the project will include site lighting, new fire alarm system, visitor parking, student drop-off, and pickup driveway, as well as a new outdoor student dining courtyard in the location of the existing 100 building, with shade structures and landscaped areas. So this should really change the face of Mann, in particular on that corner. And we have a similar project that's in planning at Crawford. We're always looking for ways, from the back into the financial side, we're always looking for ways of maximizing revenue. I mentioned E-rate. We were successful in a DOD grant, $33 million to improve Miller and Hancock schools, schools that serve military students. So we're always looking.
So you just talked about some great things for the Mann Middle School campus, demolishing some of the old buildings and just replacing with brand new ones, including the 100, 500, another one. What about the other wings that aren't getting demolished? Are those classrooms going to be gutted and have new walls, new floors, new ceilings, new everything, new doors, new windows, new everything?
Yes, I mean, we don't, in a lot of cases, we evaluate on a building-by-building basis. So a building that's beyond its useful life will get demolished and replaced, or if it's in the wrong, that doesn't serve our needs anymore.
Right.
But in the existing buildings, if a building is left, which I believe we'll probably end up leaving and renovating, say the theater at Mann, for example, it's a huge space, but it will receive an extensive modernization.
Right. So then all the other classrooms that aren't getting demolished will be completely gutted and rebuilt.
Right.
With new floors, new ceilings, new walls, new doors, new windows.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification, Trustee Beiser. That's important. That's an important fact.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Major repair and replacement, yeah. And so, and sort of looking at the sort of big picture, long-range plan, pursuant to the board direction that we're implementing these two programs together to minimize disruption of teaching and learning and better coordinate construction work, eliminate rework, and improve economies of scale. So you see Proposition S and Proposition Z work being developed together. In your packet, attachment 1 is our program plan, which is a 2015 through 2021 plan now. It includes classroom technology improvements totaling $108.2 million, air conditioning $88.8 million, safety and security $121.6 million, and sustainability $37 million, additional fields $21 million. And then moving forward, you probably have in your packet a memorandum regarding lease-back, best value procurement. So we're going to be implementing some pretty large projects. Mann and Crawford, for example. Central Wilson is another big project. So in these projects, selecting a quality contractor and controlling costs and managing cash flow is going to be really essential. To successfully complete the larger projects, I'm recommending a best value lease-back procurement strategy, which is authorized by Ed Code 17406. The memo I provided you gives you sort of a really detailed breakdown of lease-back. But some of the other advantages of it is for example, we talked about outreach. It gives you the opportunity to utilize outreach goals. It gives you that you can put those worker participation, emerging business enterprise participation goals into the guidelines to select the contractor, and you can enforce those guidelines. So it gives us a better approach to securing a quality contractor that's capable of delivering a large, complicated project, helping us manage the cash flow of the project. But it also gives us ability to achieve other goals. And obviously managing cash flow is important because we don't want these big projects to impact the other projects in the program as well. So anyway, as we're going to go through that, procurement process and then bring the results back to you for your review. I'll provide a lot more detail at that time, but the memo you have in your hands gives you quite a detailed roadmap of the process. And then from that pool, we'll use competition within the pool to give us our best value or the best price. So I don't know.
The only thing I have to say is just thank you. I know that for your leadership on this specific piece, because I know that we've been talking about it for a while, and now it's an opportunity to make sure that more are that we cast a wider net, and that more are participating in this process, particularly from the communities that we're serving. So I just wanted to thank you and commend you for your leadership in this particular effort.
Yeah, I would just add, I appreciate the thoughtful way that you're going about this, because what you're doing is you're balancing the, our interest in increasing participation while maintaining the competitive process, and I think that's important as well, because I think sometimes, what we've heard about in situations with other districts that have moved to this sort of the lease-back process is that it takes out the competitive, nature of the process, and frankly leads to sometimes questionable selections of contractors. And so I think what you're doing is you're making sure that we're covered in both directions, opening up, but ultimately, contractors are going to have to compete in a competitive process and not have selection based on kind of arbitrary factors.
Yeah, we want price to be a driving factor, but we also are looking for other qualifications and the ability to manage that cash flow throughout the project. And obviously, we're really concerned. We're interested in helping emerging businesses within our communities, and we think that this will give us a tool to do. And we talked about worker participation, so this is another tool to help, especially some of the core worker participation. It gives us some kind of a lever that just a straight low bid process doesn't allow for. So, and then moving on to our. Just a little sort of update on Vision 2020. Last year, we began an update to the long-range facilities master plan aligned with Vision 2020, and we conducted open house events in the Madison and Mira Mesa clusters, and these efforts led to improved academic program and alignment, attendance boundary, and grade configuration changes. And Dr. Julie Martell and Midori Wong and I have been working on this effort to align academic programs from within the cluster along with other education leaders. And so this is sort of just an overview of the plan, and we're working on our plan for cluster and stakeholder engagement. We're going to be planning a lot over the summer for cluster engagement next fall. We're looking at the academic programs deeply. Dr. Martell has been doing an awful lot of work in working with the academic leaders in looking at our programs. We're also going to be looking at enrollment capacity at different areas, grade configurations, and looking at how that drives updates to our Prop S&Z plan and long-range facilities master plan. And of course, we'll be back meeting with you periodically and reviewing and consulting with Superintendent Martin and with the board regarding these plans. And then I just have there's a rendering on this slide of the Hoover High School whole site modernization. This is going to be pretty significant. This is a design and construction of a new 3-story building, approximately 47,000 square feet. It also includes rebuilding the entire Performing Arts Center, which is another 31,000 square feet. So this building and Performing Arts Center is about the size, well, it's bigger than an elementary school, let's put it that way, between the two buildings. This design is inspired by the original Spanish-style architecture buildings that were at Hoover originally. And it's a combination of combining the classic architecture and energy efficient design. So, and then just a brief overview of, I don't want to steal too much of Andy's thunder because he's up next, but this is sort of overview of our committees. So we have I have the pleasure of facilitating both the Citizens Oversight Committee and the Charter School Facilities Advisory Committees. They're both functioning really well. The first group of charter school projects was approved on February 4th of last year, and the ICFC and its 3 subcommittees are meeting regularly and reviewing audits and producing quarterly reports on time, and all 11 positions are filled and appointed. And so I won't say much more because I'm going to let him steal any more of Andy's thunder. But this is a nice aerial photo of our new kindergarten building at Hamilton Elementary. And we took a bunch of old portable classrooms and replaced them with a beautiful new permanent building. And we also installed air conditioning throughout the Hamilton campus. We updated the whole school entrance and increased security, but also at the aesthetics of the entrance, and renovated restrooms and made ADA upgrades throughout the campus. So, looking forward to future revenues at least cost to taxpayers. The debt to repayment ratio on the last Prop C issuance was 1.78, which is the lowest in the history of San Diego Unified. We're expecting...
Could you say that again? What was the lowest in San Diego Unified history?
The debt to repayment ratio on the last Prop Z issuance was 1.7.
So that saved taxpayers more money than any other debt purchase bond program in the history of the school district?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. We're going to issue approximately $450 million of Prop Z proceeds every 2 years using current interest bonds, and we're going to also issue Prop S bonds every other year as well. We issued $65 million worth of Prop S bonds in April 2014. I think we're planning around a $31 new money issuance in June of 2015. And about $100 million in Prop S proceeds every other year are planned. Obviously, we're using long-term bonds to fund long-term or long lifespan capital facilities projects, and short maturity bonds for short useful life-term equipment like student devices, for example. And then this is a nice rendering of our Point Loma High School master plan, which includes demolition of the 800 building, and which is an existing two-story building, kind of a round building that is sort of not really well functioned or real well placed. We're replacing with a new 3-story, 38,000 square foot building, a library and media center on the ground floor, 10 classrooms on the second floor, and 10 classrooms on the third floor. And we're also renovating the two-story buildings on each side, the 200 building and the 300 building, and creating some additional security on the back and a better entrance to the administration building and parking lot on Clove Street. And the last slide here is one of Mr. Beiser's favorite projects. The new air conditioning? No, Patrick Henry. This is a picture of the new 500-seat AIA Members' Choice Award-winning Performing Arts Center and College Career Tech Ed facility with enclosed lobby, ticket booth, student store that we're planning to open on. It's March 8th, which is, so that's Kevin's birthday. President Foster's mother's birthday.
That was good. Anyway, early March 2016. And I guess let me finish by saying that the program that you just saw is really a team effort. I mean, I've got a great team, and there's a lot of great work happening at facilities planning and construction. But I also want to appreciate our real estate department, Jenny Selkeld, and our financial team, General Counsel Andrew Donovan, and the legal team, strategic sourcing, Art Hanby and Drew Rollins, great partnership, and of course Superintendent Martin and the Board of Education for all of your support. So thank you very much.
Great work, Lee. Thank you very, very much. Just point of correction. Did you say that it's opening on March 8th? That's the target. That's the target for ribbon cutting. That's actually President Kevin Beiser's birthday as well. I'm just putting that out there.
Oh, okay.
So maybe it should be more than a target. I'm just saying. Thank you.
You guys are putting a lot of pressure on me here. Oh.
need to pass it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can we, oh, are there more comments?
A vote?
There's speakers. No.
Oh, speakers.
There are.
I apologize. There's, oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's speakers, and I think maybe some additional comments. Okay. Lorna Zukas, Ron Anderson. Oh, wait, is that right? Yeah, that's right. For E2. Yes, E2. And Don Anderson and Citizen.
Regarding the Prop Z bonds, pools need to be reviewed again. Pools duplicate city services and takes away the drinking water, and that is a paramount issue in this county. You will burden us with debt for pools and take away precious drinking water. Schools are not commercial areas. I want to point out that the Civic Center Act was never intended for businesses to exploit and damage educational facilities. It was just an access point. It was not to run their businesses out of our schools. It was certainly never intended to impede on our neighborhoods. Our property tax money should not be used to harm and cause detriment to our living in a neighborhood. People that move into a neighborhood with a school, I live a block from a school, we expect a certain amount of school activity. We certainly never expected to move into an area where there's a business that's being run all hours of the day and night with a great detriment to the people that live in the area. That was never the intent of a school. A school is supposed to work into a neighborhood and be part of a neighborhood, but not crush a neighborhood just because the school district's trying to generate money for itself. That was never its purpose.
Hi again. Lee, you might appreciate these comments. Right after the passing of Prop Z, it was brought to the attention of the ICOC that Prop S and Prop Z need to keep their accounting separate. This is not one pool of funding available to the district to use. Last week, the board asked district staff if the Crawford Stadium was authorized in the bond measure. The answer received back from staff was yes. This answer needs to be clarified. The stadium is authorized in Prop S, but not in Prop Z. You can't execute projects that are only listed in Prop S with Prop Z funding. Currently, the district's projects plan before you lists only 2 athletic facilities / ADA projects for Crawford, the tennis courts and track and field project. The stadium project is visibly absent. It is our understanding that the cost of the stadium project is in upwards of $14 million, and the track and field would cost an additional $4 million. Why then is the stadium project not even listed on the project's plan, on the district's project plan spreadsheet? You guys should check this out. Are we to assume that this funding is coming from a different source of funds? At the very least, this seems to be a serious quality control issue. There I go again, get your staff to do it right. There are many other questionable items listed that also raise a concern about cross-bond spending. I recommend that you return the spreadsheet back to the district and have them verify the bond fund for each project as it is listed. Let's get some transparency and clarity. Additionally, last week's Board of Education meeting included the approval of the Crawford EIR. 2 CDs of information were submitted to the EIR but were excluded from the record.
Thank you.
That needs to be corrected by this board.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dawn Anderson, and I'm a parent of kids that are currently in the district. I find it disturbing that the district and the Board of Education continue to head down a path of not providing the facility improvements that taxpayers approve by voting in favor of both Prop Z and S. Instead, we continue to see skewed priorities that are not based on the facility's needs, but are based on the arrogance of some board trustees that don't understand the restrictions and limitations of a Prop 39 school bond. Prop 39, the Safer Schools and Financial Accountability Act, approved by voters back in the year 2000, changed our state's constitution, part of which said that the bonded indebtedness incurred by a school district shall apply only if the proposition approved by the voters and resulting in the bonded indebtedness includes all of several accountability requirements. One of those requirements is to provide a list of the specific school facilities projects to be funded and certification that the school district board, community college board, or county office of education has evaluated safety, class size reduction, and information technology needs in developing that list. It took a court order to stop the district from illegally spending millions of dollars of precious school bond money for permanent field lighting. Now the district is reaching into its facility fund reserves to continue to spend money that does not fulfill a facility need. This money is better spent on repairing leaky roofs and providing quality education environments for the students first, before spending money on flashy projects like swimming pools so trustees can participate in ribbon-cutting ceremonies. The students deserve better.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ron Anderson. Again, I'm the president of Taxpayers for Accountable School Bond Spending. On May 5th, 2013, at a regularly scheduled school board meeting, Trustee Scott Barnett stated the following. Last November, under Prop Z, the voters, in approving it, specifically approved pool facilities. This statement could not be further from the truth. Swimming pools show up only once in the 107-page Prop Z bond measure and is hidden in the same paragraph that field lights are listed, at the end of the bond measure under the heading General Provisions. The efforts listed in the general provisions areas are not projects themselves, but are costs incidental to and necessary for the completion of the listed projects. For Mr. Barnett's statement to be accurate, there would need to be a specific project listed in the bond measure that requires a multi-million-dollar swimming pool to be built in order for that listed project to be considered complete. The Court of Appeals used the term tethered to a listed project in their published opinion where taxpayers prevailed regarding the district's illegal spending of Prop S money on field lights. You will not find a specific listed project in Prop Z where the installation of a multi-million-dollar swimming pool is incidental in cost and necessary for the completion of that listed project. On March 5th, 2013, the district submitted to the Board of Education for approval a 2-year plan for Prop S projects in the form of a spreadsheet. For the first time, they included a project by the name Aquatic Centers, 5 areas, partnership with nonprofit YMCA. What you have before you now is one that's called Aquatic Athletic Facilities, 5 areas, partnership with nonprofit YMCA. Taxpayers has taken notice. Deceptive and illegal bond spending is not what taxpayers were promised when they voted in favor of Prop Z.
Thank you. Any board comments?
Well, I just wanted to thank Mr. Togoroff, too, for really good work. I know there's a really big balance between dealing with staff, dealing with community, dealing with schools, dealing with board members and all of the stakeholders involved. But I think there's real evidence of a real surge and increase in participation at the community level in terms of the different meetings that have been held and all the outreach that's been done. So I really want to commend you on that. And I'm going to support this moving ahead. I know it's very difficult when it's a project list goes on for so many years in terms of establishing priorities and getting all the projects done, but I think you've done absolutely a good job.
Thank you.
Ditto. Yes.
Yeah, I want to thank Lee Dolgoroff and all the team and the staff and the support staff for all the work putting this together and to continue to focus on, renovating the classrooms and providing great facilities for our kids and air conditioning for them, especially in the hot zone schools. So thank you very much for all your work.
Thanks for your support.
Right, I'd like to add to that, to reinforce the effort you've made and your team has made to reach out to the community. I've attended the Oversight Committee meeting. I've been at the planning group sessions. We've done presentations to planning groups as well as did the outreach to in various clusters. I found the community very much engaged. I found them very interested in what the projects were doing. I heard their input, and then I've seen the results of their input being included in the plan, and just want to commend you for the outreach that you've done in the community. You've listened to the community, and you've responded to the general needs of the community. And I know that there are people who feel differently, and there are folks who have another feeling as to the way the district should go. My sense is that you have been able to accommodate the needs of most groups, and you've done your very best to make it beneficial to everyone concerned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just? I'm sorry.
Oh no.
There's the item before you. Just to give you some background on the item that on December 2nd, the board approved a resolution to update the bond program plan projects, and that included, the 2013 plan, and it was basically a 6-year plan. On June 2nd, you also, or let's see, December 2nd of last year, you approved the previous plan, and you also approved it in the previous June. What I've got here before you is the list is largely unchanged from before. For transparency, we've created a column that references the voter guide pages that are applied to every project, and so staff is recommending that you approve the attachment 1, which is the bond project plan and accompanying resolution. The resolution provides additional transparency for the bond project list and how it relates to the voter guide.
Okay. Being that there are no more comments, can we please vote? That passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Moving on to E3, we're going to have a report from the Independent Citizens Oversight Committee, Propositions S and Z semi-annual update. Andy Berg.
Hey.
Go ahead.
Go for it. Just go for it. Yeah, no lights. I'm an invited speaker, right? Okay,
that's
thanks.
right.
Well, Superintendent Martin, President Foster, and happy birthday, by the way. I didn't know it was your birthday. Other esteemed school board members, my name is Andy Berg, and I'm chair of the Oversight Committee. I've been doing that for probably close to 2 years now, and I've sat on 3 other oversight committees in my tenure in San Diego, and got to tell you, the last 6 months were certainly the most interesting of any of that. And I want to really commend, and this, I know you're getting a lot of flack from the public, but I want to commend the public. I don't agree with them on everything they're saying. Frankly, I don't agree on most of what they're saying. I agree on some of it. But dissent makes us better. It's made these projects better. We heard last week an agreement with the community at Crawford, which has made that whole situation much better. Had there not been any dissent, would have been a nightmare for the residents there. So I do really commend the public for doing that. In some ways, I think they're doing my job, which is fine. I'll take as much help as I can get getting this thing done. This whole issue and the amount of people that have been at this meeting come to every one of our meetings now as well, and it's really good. As a matter of fact, at our executive committee meeting, we kind of allow just a free-for-all because we don't schedule it for 2 hours. I really don't have 2 hours of an agenda, so we just have a conversation, which has been really very enlightening and beneficial. It's made us think a lot about what our role is on an oversight committee and what it isn't. And what it isn't, and I really want to emphasize that, it isn't a substitute for you. We're really not there to second-guess school board or school board priorities. We're there to make sure the money's being spent according to what was written in the voter's guide. We are there to give advice on ways to get less change orders, ways to get other things. We're there to make sure things are going well, and I will interject that things are going very well from that standpoint. Projects are being done almost exclusively under budget. Change order rates ridiculously low. And we're spending a ton of money, which is a great thing. We're getting it out there and we're getting stuff built, which means the students are getting stuff as quickly as possible, even though it will take another 15, 20 years to spend it all, so that's been great. On the other hand, everybody on our committee is a human being too, and we all do have our opinions too, and we will voice them as well. There are some issues that have been brought to your attention, and we have opinions. One is the prioritization to us sometimes seems a little off, and I'm not going to substitute my judgment for you. If you want to build stadiums, I think the stadiums are important. That's fine. We do ask that you try to get the schools built, especially the ones with the really high FCIs, as quickly as possible. If we can not only fix up Crawford Stadium, but fix up Crawford School, sooner rather than later. The same thing with Hoover, with Mann, with a lot of the schools that are just incredibly old and run down. That would be very helpful. Again, your call, not ours, but something we really want to bring up. In terms of the swimming pools, I disagree, and neither my friends in the public or myself are attorneys. You have one who's opined. I think Prop Z is written differently than Prop S, and you're fine with it. However, one thing I'd really like that I haven't been able to get, maybe I haven't pushed hard enough, is the result of that MOU. You're now teaming with the YMCA. Why? What was the YMCA's proposal that chose you to do that? I've never seen that, and I think as an oversight committee we really need to know why, the YMCA. Not to second guess you, but it's our job to really oversee what you do, so I really would like to see that. As for the athletic facilities and the stadiums and the like, I really commend you for having the outreach for Crawford. I commend you for not treating each of these schools as equal. There are some schools that are nowhere as near neighborhoods, and if you want to have adult soccer there 365 days a year, I don't think anybody's going to care. The schools that are right up on houses, thank you for canceling that contract at Claremont. Please listen to the public out there and try to come up with some reasonable compromises to what's in the district's interest and the neighborhood's interest. I understand that for every person here complaining, there's 50 parents that would be outraged if you didn't have night football. I get that. On the other hand, it is affecting their lives, and if we can come up with something that's reasonable, again, we would definitely appreciate that on our thing. The last thing I really wanted to say, it's really kind of a question, a request. And this is in no disrespect to your counsel. Andra has given, I think, really great advice to you and to us. I think your bond counsel is as independent as they can be and is giving good advice as well. However, the perception, at least, is that we're not getting independent advice. And now with a lawsuit pending, a lawsuit going forward, other potential things there, are the swimming pools legal, aren't they? What are you going to do about this or that? Not asking for a lot of money, but if there's something available where I could pick up the phone and call an attorney of our selection and say, I need an opinion on this. I already got the school district's opinion, but I need something that the ICOC can say, this is somebody that, they could say the school district's wrong without the risk, even though it's probably not there, of losing their jobs over disagreeing with what the school board said. That would be really helpful. I don't want to take money away from teachers' salaries or anything else. I understand what the budget is, but if we could find something, that would be very helpful as well. I really just want to leave it at this, though. I appreciate this opportunity. The last year has actually been, surprisingly enough, much more enjoyable than any other board I've sat on, because it has been a challenge. I mean, these members of the public have left every meeting I leave, just my brain is spinning with the ideas they've come up with as to whether, how to move forward on them, and that's really good. Usually these jobs are like, they're boring. They're looking at financial statements and, okay, yes, you're spending it right, you're not spending it right. This has been kind of fun. So I definitely appreciate the opportunity. I want to continue on that. And I want to see if we could come up with something. We're not going to please everybody. You're not going to please everybody. But we're trying to spend $5 billion to the best that we can for the entire community. The more people we can please, the better. So thanks for the time and thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for your leadership. And we don't, yeah.
I just want to ask Mr. Dograf, could you comment on what is the status on sort of the swimming pools and MOU with YMCA and where we're at with that process?
We've had a number of meetings with the YMCA and a number of different, talking about a number of different projects. The MOU is simply that. It's a framework by which we will develop future formal agreements that we'll bring to the board And that's kind of where we're at right now. The YMCA is, in a lot of cases, is conducting research on the needs in specific communities and looking sort of, I guess, their version of market research to determine the needs and viability of partnering with us on facilities. We're also in discussions, early discussions with the City of San Diego and talking about partnering with them in some of their pool facilities. We actually have, like for example, there's a pool at near Memorial, which is right next to our property. There's one up in Claremont that our teams, in a lot of cases, our teams are using these pools. So it behooves us to work with the city as well, but we already have a joint use master MOU with them. So the purpose of this MOU with the YMCA was to try to create a framework around which we can develop projects together. So that's kind of where we're at right now. As these get developed more and more, when we actually have a formal agreement, we'll bring it to the board for board consideration.
So for example, with the YMCA, these are fairly preliminary discussions at this point. And I don't know of any other group, but there would be the possibility of some other organization proposing in the same way that the YMCA would in terms of partnering with us on it.
We did have an RFP that was received 2 responses. One was not really a nonprofit response, but more of a architect, designer, builder type response, and then the other one was with the YMCA. Okay, so we could solicit another RFP in the future if the board so desires to seek other partners. No,
I just wanted to clarify because I didn't remember the process. You had actually put out an RFP, and that's where the YMCA came from, basically.
That's right, yeah. We received 2 responses. One was a little bit, I think, different than what we had expected, and then there was the YMCA. We were really looking for a partner to cooperate, to co-develop and cooperate facilities. The other one was more of an architect design team that might design them, but not necessarily partner in the operation.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And being that there are no further is there one more? Okay. I don't think I have that. Ron Anderson. Okay.
Yes.
So Ron Anderson and, is there 2 or 1?
He had circled non-agenda, but he can speak on this.
Yeah, the one after.
The non-agenda. Non-agenda? Okay, so that'll be next.
That'll be next.
Oh,
okay. First off, I want to thank Andy for the comments that he made. For the first time, we actually feel like we've been heard going to these ICOC meetings, so thank you, Andy, for that. For the first time I've heard it. On May 5th, 2013, the district submitted to the Board of Education for approval a 2-year plan for Prop Z projects in the form of a spreadsheet. For the first time, they included a project by the name Aquatic Centers, 5 areas, partnership with nonprofit YMCA. After opposition during public testimony, the board directed staff to add a column to the spreadsheet that showed what page or pages in the bond measure authorization was given for each project listed. The district complied. For Aquatic Centers, pages 11 and 106 of the Prop Z were identified on the 2-year plan as having authoritative language. On page 11, language in the Quality Neighborhood Schools section appeared to be the closest logical place to find the authority to build aquatic centers. It lists many district goals and several projects, but no specific project that requires a multi-million-dollar swimming pool to be built for that listed project to be deemed complete. On page 106, swimming pools is mentioned in the general provisions area of the bond, but as stated on my previous testimony, the efforts listed in the general provisions area must be tethered to a specific listed project in the bond measure and must be incidental in cost and necessary to complete the listed project. A simple mention of aquatic centers as one of the many projects in the bond measure is all that was needed to authorize this expense. This level of specificity, disclosure, and transparency is required of all Prop 39 school bond measures. The board is now getting ready to approve they've already approved the spreadsheet. They've already approved the spreadsheet, but now they've changed the name. It's Aquatic Athletic Facilities. in an attempt to put it more in line to what is written in the Quality Neighborhood Schools as one of the goals: improve athletic facilities. That's what's going on behind the scenes here. So I just want to make you aware of it.
Thank you. Okay, so we do have a non-agenda public comment, and that's Ron Noble. So will you please come forward?
Thank you. Last Thursday we had our first FUP meeting at Claremont High School, and for the it was very interesting because Mr. Ford was sent an email, just please join us for the high school field use policy meeting at 8 o'clock and so on. That was from Ms. Roberson. Tom, myself, and our new neighbor we met, Brent, he showed up later. It was very interesting because when we got there, we saw all these people, which was great. It's great to see community in attendance. But there were students, ex-coaches, some of this, more of the facility staff. And we were trying to explain what we were doing and what we were complaining about, because when the lights went on, when they built, we had really not too much notice about the facility being built. Let's move forward from that. Suddenly the lights were on every night and there was lots of noise. And once we started going to these meetings and getting involved, we hear it's, oh, well, it's for the kids, it's for the kids, it's for the kids. Well, GoVavi was the people that are there for 21 and older. And we spent basically that, supposedly their contract's up, but from what I hear, they're there during the day. So I wish someone would clarify that. And number two is basically after someone sent us a thing with, was on the Claremont High School field use meeting. Please come and show your support for our athletes in school. Come voice your opinion and save our programs. The neighbors that are complaining about what's going on in Claremont do not want to take away anything from the kids. We never have, never will. But when we're sitting there being sold a bill of goods saying, oh, Vavi's not there, who's Vavi? When we first approached the school, council and Ms. Roberson were like, what's Vavi? When they were already playing. Then Principal Roberson puts out that, oh, my husband's on the team on Vavi. So in our agreements, I think she should be removed because she's basically is biased in the opinion. We spent most of the time trying to figure out what an event is and reinventing the term and what we're supposed to do, basically, and what nighttime was. I wish I had more time, but thank you for your time.
Thank you. And just for public information and just to kind of reiterate what was said earlier, the Claremont contract has been canceled for Vavi. Oh yes, please comment on that.
The use of the lights, nighttime use of the Claremont High Stadium by Vavi has been discontinued indefinitely. But the Vavi does use the facility during the daylight hours with no lights. So I just wanted to clarify that.
When the students are not using it?
When the students are not using it, right. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that because I think it might have come across as it being completely canceled, but they do use it, during the summertime when there's no use, or during times when the students aren't using it. But there is no night use or use of lights during Vavi events or use of the stadium under Civic Center Act.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Are you about to adjourn the meeting? I'm just board adjourned.
Is it possible for me to say something again?
I'll open back up the meeting so that you can make your non-agenda public comment. Go ahead.
Thank you, President Foster. Happy birthday. Just in response to those comments, I just want to point out, as I did state earlier, it can sound really nice when you say, yeah, the Vavi contracts have been canceled for nighttime use, and it's not conflicting with student use of the field. However, for all of us residents who live right next to the high school, during the summertime, it's light till 8:30 at night, and you've got competitive teams up here yelling, screaming, whistles blowing, and they're literally our neighbor in our backyard. I could literally throw a baseball from my backyard, and I could hit the soccer players. I would never do that, but my point is that's how close they are. If I came to your home this evening after this, and I got a bunch of guys, and we were playing in your neighbor's backyard and blowing whistles, so on and so forth, in competitive sports, it would be very obtrusive to you. And they're trying to position themselves as if, they're not taking away from the students, and they're not impinging upon just common rights of the neighborhood to enjoy a peaceful home and enjoy dinner and enjoy time with your family. But it's not what's actually happening. I spoke with the principal firsthand, and I said, if you got rid of all these third-party uses, and if your focus was truly on the students, you'd have a lot more cooperation from the neighborhood. But what you do is they're trying to rile up all the students and get this grassroots effort of all these students showing up, like we're trying to take it away from the students, when really they have this whole other agenda. And she flat out admitted it to me, that she said, well, we're not going to get rid of other stuff, so that's not going to happen, But the whole meeting, she was trying to tell the public that that's what their concern is. So anyways, I just really hope that you guys will pay close attention, because I can already see the position that they're trying to take, and they're not being forthright. They're not being truthful with it, and it's really not fair to us. We just want to be able to have a home and have peace and quiet with our family in the evening time. Like I alluded to earlier, the coaches said that their practices end by 5:30. Anything beyond that should fall within the use that was stated before this was built. Thank you very much for your time.
So that concludes non-agenda public comment. And I will also just remind the public that we do appreciate the comments. They do help us to better serve students and their families, and we will direct the comments to our superintendent. Thank you. And the meeting is adjourned.